This is a great question that comes up fairly often where you need to work out n, which is the last term in a sigma. And so if you've watched some of my other videos on sigma, the first thing that I always like to do is just build up the sequence and you sub in whatever number they give you there just to get the first three terms. So if I sub in 1 into here, that will give me 0. 2 to 0 is 1 times 3 is 3. If I sub in 2 into here, 1 minus 2 is minus 1, so that becomes 2 to minus 1 is a half. So it's 3 over 2. And then I'll do one more. If I sub in 3 into here, this becomes to the power of minus 2, which becomes 1 over 4, so it's 3 over 4. So the first thing you want to do is just build up the sequence. And the second thing you want to do is work out how many terms there are, which, just to be fastidious, it's the top minus the bottom plus 1. And so in this case, it is just n number of terms. But bear in mind, if this was a different number at the bottom, it could be something a little bit more complex. And so those are two steps you want to do just to start the question. And then we dive in. So we notice that there's a ratio each time of term 2 over term 1. And that gives us an answer of a half. And so it's geometric, so I'm going to jump to the sum of formula for geometric. This represents Tn, this represents Sn. Be careful not to make the mistake of thinking this is one long equation that you can move things across. So here we go, diving into the actual nuts and bolts of it. The first term is 3, the ratio is a half to the power of n minus 1 over a half minus 1. What I like to do is I like to straight away just deal with all the numbers outside of this bracket. And so what I'll do is go 5,8125, divide that by 3, and in brackets times it by the half minus 1. And if you do that in one shot, you end up with an answer like this. I like to keep the variable that I'm working out on the side where it's positive, which it is already, so I'm just going to plus 1 across, and it becomes 1 over 32. If you were completely stuffed at this stage, you could use logs. So the base of the log would be half, and the other number would be 1 over 32. But in this case, I notice that 32 is just 2 to the 5. Another sneaky calculator trick. It doesn't work, it seems to not work with fractions, but if you wanted to break down just the 32, you could go 32, press equals, and press shift fact on your calculator if you ever want to get the smallest exponents and boil it down to its prime factors. And if you did that, you'd end up getting 2 to the 5. So you could do it just with the 32 at the bottom. That would have given you 2 to the 5, and 1 to the power of 5 will still be 1. That's why I'm not too worried about that. Why that's so nice for me is because I got half to the 5 equals half to the n. So then n must just equal 5. And that's a lekker way just to get through these kind of questions where you're needing to work out the power in sigma questions. I hope that you found that useful. If you did, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends.